Unno sakkutunga seguti Igalaaq takutsaalamatillegu Eva Michael Junga. Kanatami ministeri ya inullerriitoqakkunu kangerlinermiilautu tabbali pinassuarusittinni uqauseqhariartortuni kanatami kiinauya $19 million sannepartausimayut salumanersama uummaqqutulerinermut kivallermi. Minister Dan Vandal katimakataqalaartu kiggartuiyini sakku investment kumniingaartunik pileriqatigillunigi kiinauyat pittitugillugit ikajorutauniartuni angilligiartitauluni nutaungortitau kanderunnartut uummaqqutulerinermut kivallermi Vandal uqalaurilluni tamanna akikilligiarutauniarilluni uummaqqutiit akitutnirivattanginnut ursualatuinait.
Our government has some of the
Gavamatoqakkut neriuqtu angiyumit hivunermutautukluta 2015 ngoleqpa taapkua avatilerinermut aaqikkoqqimanaaqmata puyorluutiiqarungnaa maarluni.
$18.4 million tuqaangatitaunearterseqinermunuk kitsautillerinermun baataleeqa titauluni nauyaat uummaqqutulerivinganni $220,000 kiinauya tuqaangatitauluni seqinermut nukkitsautillerinuuvatteq pingasuni illuunni kangerlinermi ikajorutauniaralluni nukkitsautitaarrattarnermut kangerlinermi 2025 nguleqqat mitsausiartausimagilluni $1.3 million tuqaangatitaulniartu qamanittuarmuk kangerlinermut anurinemmut uummaqqutillerinermut nukkitsautillerinermut iqqinayaanguyunun ikajorneqarniaralluni qavisarnermun ammalo anurimut nukkitsautitaarniuvattuq tamakkua nunalinniittuit atunginersaulerluti ursualatuinermik iqalunnimiutait uqaalaut nik ateqpattu Northwest telkutigut qaritaujakkulluunniit tamanna akaunguliorutaukainaqattaqan qamikainaqattartutik Northwest taaluqartutik qinayaaqarpalliayugulla pileriqatigiyaminnik qavisarneqartutik kisipidjutausimsimamanga nalunertaulaungittoq Northwest telku uqarunalaungerilluti qangakku aaqittaunayarmanga iqalummiutait taakutuarrinnertuleriyakkunnu uqaalagunna ningippata uqaalaquyauyugaluat 223-4422. Teemippatsiqolauatta innammaqiit neqititauqarternerilaurtangikuutsuarmi nunavimmi tauvani katittavimmiippattuit takkauna tungilinga appissernerilauttama Larry Shaming naatsuminga taqqitamaa aulataunerivattanga tamitsaanun.
Teema ukua iltariauhartamiyui nunaqtuami June 15 takwa International Elders Abuse Awareness tana iltariauhartatuhallunaatitu inuktito atahaqmanga hoyamangitara kisiane nerimaatitsigunnahattaratta kavamaapikkutikut takkuuna kiinaune hinilaukatunga teema sunalimatsiane nerilangatillugit hallunaa neritsayangit inui neritsayangit takwa mahektivut niuvernahtarama takwa mahaittini ikayoqsisuungummat uqsuarlu akinginnit sakkuit ullungillu teimatuinnarunnaimat taitsimannittaqni aittuisiartaloqsamammata kisiani ullumiuyu takwa sonalimatsia akahasuunguleqmata takwa ikayohartasugit namanaarutigituinnamiyaqa October 1 Tana ullo ildariyaumiyo International Elders Day. Tana nunaktuami ildariyaumiyo. Tana paknakaswak miya kamana sundalutulla mga hawi mangito intakamana. Kisiani kinawini kinakaswalang sirik miyo.
Assukulang te mama na mangulautun de rivit tilaukavit. Ratinila kanuilauka amalakina niktiulauka.
Takwa 35 ngukulok tuit khailaw yuit ikin ni saw law yuit akanin takne amisunak saw khulaw yuit 40-50 akane tekwa ilangi mahaivimi matahoy matsia sunga ilani yung ito namanak vagi khataw misugi tekwa mahittu vinit khai gumalaw yu galot nalunang itok tema pingwa siya lok tuit amalosala haksuti ilunatit kasaw titak suti lo sanak ko titak suti langit hanulima hayut tet igarutit salma sayrutit illumiutat sayanek sunalima sala haksuti
Asummakaya pille. Huvia hatatutsawi salat saktun nalunangi.
ilun nanti honga hattalaw mata makisak sutillo tagahay kasulok mata wi makas tuyo yakalok suti sukay to apiw hattalok to ilang huvia sumon dalo nang ito huvia sulok mata nakukilok miyak hay gunalok to
So Larry, hanu taman la pimmariutigiva, summa pimmariutigiva katitisa hatare nrejangin inummarin.
Takwa sivulimi katitsuta tutsialaw katsuta amalo nipaitu law katsuta takwa ildari gumalaw yavu tamani runnay tuit amalo kitape ukhalimatsunga antaktaw yuhataw na inutohak na sibanaktaw na hunga upalo na kinaw ini aksataw sungong mga tamak ko na nga elders abuse tana nukhalaki gialik inus ni sa man na khiting khanok tayo may lokto sa ito ima tamani kayang ito takwa inuto kay nalahat ta sunga tusahat ta sugillo tait sa manay kahat ta si mamata aninaktualo tusahat sugit ayun nangilimat siya sutit tamani titawat ta taga takwa inus ni sa inus tuwut latuin na hunga ima antok tawge hangin mata taman na nokha tawge alik taman na ildarilok tawi pasa
Taman na pingayuat, kingulak pangalaw, pasundurlaw takaleri siya, may kaupat, takot chawlak to Igalaaq kutigot. Temo lumi adjilok taw si mayok sila kanuin na kayang akaw yagi alam nginitini awlat at sigundalaw tok tujuy gundalaw tok regi palitok tan adjilok si mayok pikalo yak nek taw bani kayat tuga piyo kani kiyangani nakok me adjilok si mayan awlat at sigundalaw kavit tema adjilok takarna kavit takot sa ko yannik awlat at sibit sa watugut knocked out tuwag ng CBC North at cbc.ca sila kanuin na kaya nga man na kanuin na relak ng ano kayo kaya kayo nang nalang megatigo Te megala no kavitsanga tikittarervo nakamita autoqataartisi nakami David kanajere rivunno Eva Michael yunga te ma Northbeat takucha nealak mayok ta ko piyu misaru te sakayalak tilagit ino khatikay tabawsi
We carry a world of information in our pockets because we want to know. Breaking news that shapes your world.
All right.
Reporting from the scene onto your screens.
Dropping the 8 now. We are just approaching Gaza.
With local CBC Radio 1 Live to connect us closer to home. It's news you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want. On the CBC News app. Download for free.
Oh my god.
Skymed 911 medevac requesting priority.
I'm the first person to go to medical school. You're gonna crush it.
You know, you kids, you all like bed hop until it's actually time to sleep. Then you all want your own rooms.
I'm sure you'll get some action. Promise?
Oh my god.
We got a snake on the plane.
What? Prepare for emergency landing.
Hang on, guys. Pilots like things safe. Maybe you just haven't been taking the right risks. You might find you like dancing with danger.
You can't go halfway with Swan Lake.
There's a lot of stress. I love ballet, and sometimes it feels like it doesn't love me back.
The stakes become very high.
We're just trying to survive right now.
Some people rise and some people don't.
Congratulations on making the cut.
I worked for what I got.
People are gonna come at you whatever way they can.
My dad was a railway porter. It was just about the only job a black man could get. But he had big plans for us. Music would be our ticket out of poverty. I knew we couldn't afford that piano, so I practiced twice as hard.
Nice, Daisy. Okay, Oscar, let's hear it.
Turns out, I wasn't half bad. Then I found jazz, or it found me. It wasn't all easy, though. I faced a lot of hate. But I found my stage. They call me the man with 4 hands. Well, I don't know about that, but let's see how far this ticket takes me.
From Montreal to Carnegie Hall and far beyond, Oscar Peterson became one of the most recorded and celebrated jazz musicians of all time.
Sports is life. It's clear cut. Everything's out in the open. There's nowhere to hide. I had to prove myself more than anyone else.
You must be so proud of your son. He's gonna go pro. The sky's the limit.
There's always a winner and a loser.
You cannot reach the sky in broken cleats.
Of course, I always want to be the winner. And I did reach the sky.
Norman Kwok, the first Chinese-Canadian professional football player, still holds records to this day. He retired from the sport in 1960 and later became Lieutenant Governor of Alberta.
Good evening and welcome to a special early edition of Northbeat. I'm Shannon Scott. The Supreme Court of Canada recently ruled that the Crown must pay an Ontario First Nation for not raising its annual treaty payments for 150 years. This could lead to a multi-billion-dollar settlement. And as Nadir Hashmi reports, it could also lead to Indigenous governments in the Northwest Territories taking similar actions.
The top court has ordered the Crown to negotiate a settlement with the Anishinaabe of Lake Superior within 6 months. A Grand Chief in the NWT says after those negotiations, his council will determine a similar course of action.
Government's kind of making a mockery of our treaty, and I think if they do go through with it, I think we have a chance to file something to ourselves.
The court in its ruling said that the Crown froze annual treaty payments of $4 a person for 150 years. A lawyer who specializes in indigenous law says the federal government was obliged to increase these treaty payments over the years.
By and large, the government ignored that, as they did with a lot of provisions that they themselves wrote into treaties.
He adds that this ruling will affect more than just annual treaty payments.
I think that it'll have an impact on other types of cases, class actions and individual actions, because so many of the rights that are recognized by our courts derive out of treaty negotiations.
Cooper says this ruling will guide future treaty interpretations. Nadir Hashmi, CBC News, Yellowknife.
The newly elected chief of the Dene Nation says during his term, he wants to see the organization rebuild. George Mackenzie was elected chief last week in Deda, Northwest Territories, after a marathon 3 rounds of voting held over 8 hours. This morning on CBC Radio's The Trailbreaker, he spoke about changes he would like to make to the nation's constitution.
One of the ways I wanted to see is the role of the elders in the Constitution. The role of the elders today, they're pushed to the side. In the past, as far back as we can go, the elders were the heavy decision makers without no election. Because people know they have lots of experience, they're wise, and that's why people go to the elders. So right now, the elders, they don't seem to count. They can win the election, young population. So, and then they sit, sometimes they sit on the table, but because they have no axe behind them, just like they have no authority, that's what we have to look at.
Well, that was George Mackenzie, the newly elected chief of the Dene Nation, speaking about changes he wants to make to the organization's constitution. The Hay River RCMP has launched a program to monitor repeat offenders in an effort to tackle crime. 6 months later, they say it's working. The program is called the Habitual Offender Repeat Offender Management System. It aims to identify and monitor individuals most likely to cause significant harm to the community. A spokesperson for the RCMP says it's shown positive results, saying they're monitoring 7 prolific offenders and 5 of them have been arrested as a result of the program, some multiple times. RCMP say arrests are often related to not complying with court orders. A longtime Hay River resident says he's in favor of the program, but says the responsibility should not fall only on the RCMP.
So the government's got to step up, quit being paid tourists. People are dying in the streets. Kids are dying in the streets. So where's the leadership? Where's the elected representatives? They should be out there on the front line. They should be holding meetings. You know, there's real problems in the communities. Roll up your sleeves. Talk to the people you represent.
Wiedemann says he sees a high level of criminal activity in the community and he's concerned. He wants to know what the territory is doing to address the root causes of these issues, like addictions and mental health. The RCMP say the repeat offender program has uncovered offenses that police otherwise wouldn't have been aware of. They urge the public to help by sharing information to combat illegal drugs. The wildfire in Jasper National Park continues to burn out of control. Drier conditions are expected this week, and work is being done to try to stop the fire from spreading any further. But for the people who live in Jasper, the wait to go home isn't over yet. Officials say they are planning for a staged re-entry, but they still don't know when that could happen. The CBC's Paige Parsons is in Hinton, Alberta, with the latest.
Officials have released criteria for what it will take to be able to re-enter Jasper. That includes factors like ensuring that wildfires are no longer a threat to the town site and that emergency and critical services are in place before any residents go back. But there's no timeline yet for when the re-entry will happen, and that's left some residents feeling anxious and just really hoping for more information soon.
We're not have a timeline. We don't know when we're going back. We don't know, do we stick around here, and like how do you make plans and to like what your life is going to look like, and you're just kind of just sitting around waiting.
As they remain displaced for the foreseeable future, many different community organizations and individuals have been stepping up to help support evacuees. We caught up with an Edmonton organizer who normally provides care kits for vulnerable population, but she answered the call to pack up those kits, fill a trailer, and head here to Hinton to help evacuees.
Donations just from the community of Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Edmonton. They've come together and put it all together, and we got it loaded, and there's still donations being dropped off, so I'll be filling trailers still some more and bringing these back out.
She says those donations will be distributed by Hinton Family and Community Support Services. Meanwhile, officials are also working on a plan to bring residents back into Jasper on bus tours so they can see the community. And they're also working on a plan to try to reopen Highway 16, which is the main arterial that runs through Jasper National Park.
Highway 16 is in good shape. All the bridges are in good shape, as I just mentioned. And we're just working on some form of a security plan so that we can open up Highway 16 and ensure that we don't get people going into properties or into the town with there being no one present and no police presence or security of any kind. So that's one of our priorities right now.
All of these plans are, of course, contingent on it being safe enough to go back inside the park. So with rising temperatures expected this week, weather and the fire conditions it can bring with it are top of mind for fire crews, for officials, and for the people who are trying to get back home. Paige Parsons, CBC News, Hinton, Alberta.
Canada's Minister of Northern Affairs was in Rankin Inlet, Nunavut this week to talk about Canada's $19 million investment into clean energy for the region. The funding is meant to help increase renewable energy generation in the Igalaaq region. Minister Dan Vandal says it will also reduce the cost of energy generation due to the high cost of diesel.
Our government has some very ambitious goals towards the environment and being carbon neutral by 2050.
To help reach that goal, this money will go towards a number of renewable energy projects, things like solar and battery storage in Nauyat. It's all part of the community's plan to get 30% of its electricity from renewable sources, adding solar panels to 3 buildings in Rankin Inlet, and a wind project in Baker Lake and Rankin, all of which aim to reduce reliance on diesel. Nunavut's Community and Government Services Minister says its supervision of Clyde River has led to change. The GN has been supervising Clyde River since January. Emails between the hamlet and Nunavut's Department of Community and Government Services outline the struggles the hamlet was facing. The GN appointed an administrator earlier this year who tells CBC that the Hamlet Council had become dysfunctional. Nunavut's Community and Government Services Minister says they respect the autonomy of all 25 communities and how they operate.
When it reached to a point where the hamlet of Clyde River requested that they needed support on another level, I think we've been able to address that through the supervisor being appointed and working with the council and staff at the hamlet. I think it's worked out very well under the circumstances, and I do hope that things will fall into place.
The hamlet is still technically under GN supervision, but has a new chief administrative officer who started work this week. Joanna C. says the government is hoping to lift the supervision order in the fall. Well, turning our attention now to Paris 2024, where there's another medal to add to Canada's tally on day 4 of the Olympic Games. The CBC's Angie Seth has today's roundup.
Let's start off in the field in women's rugby, the gold medal game, and what a performance by Canada, winning the silver medal by a final score of 19-12. This was their first medal in rugby since they won bronze in the Rio Olympics in 2016. Canada ranked 5th going into these games, matching up against the first place team, New Zealand, a team that was not expected to make it past the first round. Canada now takes its place on the podium. Here's more from team captain Olivia Apps.
To come to finish second in the world at the Olympic Games is truly an accomplishment and a lot to be proud of. And coming into this weekend, we told ourselves, regardless of what happens, we want to feel proud of what we've done so far to get here, and winning is kind of the cherry on top.
From the field to the pool, not the result for Kylie Moss and Ingram Wilm, both competing in the 100-meter backstroke. In the first lap of the race, Moss took on a strong lead, but it was Australia who would take the gold, followed by the United States winning silver and bronze. Moss finished in 4th place. Ingrid Wilm came in 7th. Maggie McNeil, meantime, did not race in the 100-meter freestyle semifinal, choosing instead to rest up for the relay event. And on the mat, in artistic gymnastics, well, Team Canada came in 5th. Still a valiant effort. This was their best result since London 2012.
We kept fighting into the end. I had a little mistake on bars, but I tried to keep going for the team, and Orly finished really, really strong for us. So I think we were just really proud of what we were able to do, and we got a really good team score for us today.
And Wednesday will be a big day for the women's soccer team. The decision on the appeal by the Canadian Olympic Committee and Canada Soccer regarding the 6-point deduction over the drone scandal will be announced just before they take on Colombia. A critical moment for the team. Kickoff is at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can watch live Olympic coverage on CBC and CBC Gem. Angie Seth, CBC News, Toronto.
That is our show for tonight. Remember, for news anytime, you can always visit our website, cbc.ca/north. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shannon Scott. We'll see you again tomorrow early at 6:15 Eastern, 4:15 Mountain, and 3:15 Yukon time, right after Igalaaq. Have a good night.
I was a grade 9.
Mr. Critch, you need glasses. Glasses? No, I just think the chalk is just a little soft.
One of these days, we're gonna have to grow up. But today is not that day.
I don't want us to get older either. Son of a Critch. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Are you ready to be entertained?
Stand-up comedy, best comedians from across the globe.
Oh, great.
An incredible lineup.
Canada.
Are you ready?
Oh. Are you kidding me? CBC's got the best in stand-up comedy.
That's pretty unbelievable, man.
It's a scam. It's a scam.
No f***ing way.
Ooh.
It's a bit spicy. It'll change your life.
Catch it all free on CBC Gem.
Well done.
Y'all give it up. Give it up.